Good morning, Warriors. Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2. I'm going to do another one because I saw an interesting show. I was watching, sometimes I watch the old 60s shows, and the Saint had a show, and Roger Moore was almost like a James Bond character for some of you younger viewers back in the 60s and I think early 70s, something like that. But the show was interesting because they were talking about this guy who was ruthless. And he was talking about the nature of the beast. And so we'll talk about that a little bit too. Kind of reminding me a lot of the stuff that we're talking about here. So we'll kind of talk about that in a second. But first, thank you for all the comments, all the subscriptions, all the likes and everything. I think we're close to 700 if we're not over it. So thank you so much for all of that. We'll just keep growing and growing. And tomorrow I'll try to kind of go back and look at everything, kind of see where we're at, and kind of give all our shout outs and thank you for people who are subscribing and things like that. So today, a special Sunday kind of version here, we're going to talk about the idea of the nature of the beast. And the nature of the beast is something that, is really important when it comes to the actual idea of how a person is. In this show, there was a doctor talking about this, and the doctor was basically kind of saying that this was the nature of the beast. The nature of the beast is for the man to be aggressive. And I go back to this whole idea of the beauty in the beast that we talk about a lot when it comes to males and females. And it just is something that he said in the show too. Another thing that I guess brought it out to me is he said that if a man does not let his beast come out, then he is weak. And guys, this is a show from, I don't know, maybe 1967, 68, something like that. And they were talking about this back in 1968. Now, they said it obviously in a way that, dealt with the show and all that kind of stuff, but it applies to everything we're talking about. If you do not let the beast out, if you subdue the beast, which is what happens in our society now, then basically what's happening is you're becoming weaker. And he associated with making money and being successful in those things, and I think there's a strong relationship there too. And so back even in the 50s and 60s, they recognized the fact that people had to be strong males. And it was more common back there then than it is now, because now we're kind of diluted with all this nonsense about toxic masculinity and all this other kind of stuff that, guys, it's not, it's not there. I mean, it's just kind of an illusion or agenda or political agenda, whatever it might be, for people to do. But you cannot demasculate the males. That's a recipe for disaster. Now, I'm not saying going out and abusing this power you have, this strength. But what makes you a man is your strength, is your beast. And the beast will come out when you have the semen retention. When you're operating at your full pace, and you guys who are 20s, 30s, I admire you guys at this point. I mean, you know this secret, and you're able to have some level of it, to be able to control it. Man, oh man, this is why people like Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, look at the beast that Mike Tyson was, especially when he was on retention, right? And the thing is that power is so strong that you're able to accomplish anything you want to accomplish, and you can serve your purpose of being a masculine person who's a protector, and someone who basically is a provider, and someone who can actually go out and get things done in this world. Well, a lot of other people are sitting there, whether they're on their video games in their basement, or whether or not they're just kind of, releasing energy 4 or 5 times a day, all these things. This is and just kind of thirsting and looking at pictures all day long. This is the bad thing that you get into if you don't really be careful about this. And so this is why the beast has to come out. Now, I have to admit, it took a long time for me to understand this. And blessed be the Lord that I'm able to see this now at 61 years old, because it didn't happen when I was in a lot of your ages that are viewers that are watching this. So I'm kind of giving you a different perspective, because I know how it felt and how much it was hard to control. It is, what it is, guys. It's like a if you look like a fire hydrant, right? And you're looking at a fire hydrant, you're trying to say, okay, the fire hydrant is something that is going to blow at some point. You've got to let the water out, and the fire department always does that. At some point, they leave it out because the pressure is too great. And so when we talk about the pressure, we're not talking about the pressure of the stuff building in there. You're talking about the pressure of trying to hold that energy and also transmute it. It's not an easy thing to do. And instead of transmuting it, people release it. And then what good does it do at that point, right? If you just think about it, what good does it do? I mean, even the water that's being sent out in a fire hydrant is just being wasted away. It can be used, obviously, if you put it on the lawn and things like that, but really, for the most part, it's going right into sewer. So it's not really being used, and it's the same type of thing. That's why the fire department doesn't do it all that often, but at times they have to. And just as you have to at some point release, or else you got to transmute. Because that energy you have is going to go somewhere. As soon as you have some kind of excitable moment, you're going to get energy. This is just what happens. You're going to get energy. And as a result of that, you've got to do something with it. And a lot of people don't do enough with it, and they don't transmute it into actual physical type activities to be able to kind of get that energy moved to other parts of your chakra. And this is why the exercising, especially the things that doing with the Fountain of Youth exercises, with weightlifting, walking around, you're transmuting all those things. And I use a deep breathing method myself, but you transmit the energy into other parts of your body, into the chakras, especially the middle half of your body, where it's coming from your reproductive area. You're transferring that to other areas. And this is why it becomes important. But my friends, you can't get away from the beast. And our society is trying to diminish that beast to the point where there is no beast. And you cannot allow that to happen. It is something that should not be happening to any kind of male we have. However, our society is so backwards right now, and I think it's been done on purpose myself, but that's just my opinion. You have to kind of realize that as you progress, as you become a stronger and stronger male, you're going to have people who are going to try to put you into this category, into this idea that you can't be that male. They're going to call it toxic masculinity, whatever they're going to call it. You're this hierarchy of things. These males are just not, they're abusing their power. This has got nothing to do with it. It goes back to this Beauty and the Beast, my friends. The society is actually trying to subdue the beast. And I'm not saying, once again, going out and committing all these type of crimes and using all this stuff to take advantage of people. I'm talking about somebody who has got a beast-like mentality to be able to get things done, to not put up with a bunch of nonsense, but not to abuse your power. What you're trying to do is you're trying to be strong, because there's several purposes. And again, I go back to Simon Temple is a saint, but I go back to the show, and they're talking about the fact that males are supposed to procreate, and they're supposed to be strong. And this is what males do. And so as a result of this, you're talking about two people who, in one sense, could be a strong male, and the other person who is a very weak male. And the differences between those two is immense. That weak male, and we've seen it for years, the weak male is somebody who is not really strong, and they kind of get into everything. They fall for everything. They fall for everything in the book. They don't have any sort of ability to stand up for themselves, take any kind of leadership position. In fact, with women, they can't even kind of direct where they're going to go. And 90% of the women I talk to, they don't want to make a decision on things, especially going out. Even the younger women nowadays. And especially if they're working. If they're working and running companies and things, a lot of these women telling me that they don't want to go back and do this in relationships too. Now, I understand that a lot of men are not putting up with this stuff and the way women treat, and there's attitudes, especially with a lot of the younger females, of course. But what I've noticed is as time goes on, and especially if you have a man who is a man, they'll respect that man. And I see it with the younger women now, even the attitude, the ones that people say have attitudes. You see women who act differently towards you because they recognize you're a man of control. You're a beast who can control his beast-like mentality. You still have that beast-like energy to dominate. But the thing is that you're controlling that to have normal relations with people and not to abuse that power. And there's, to my mind, nothing wrong with it. I think God gave us this ability to be able to protect the world, society, people, your families, things like that, and to get things done. Because if you look at 90% of the things that are built in our society, they've been built by men who are beast-like. There's no doubt in my mind. Going back to the pyramids, going back to many, many things that have built over time. All it goes back to is the idea of people building it. And if you look at the old eight wonders of the world back in thousands of years ago, it's amazing how people build things. So how they build things, I mean, they had to kind of, by rope, carry up blocks. And you look at the pyramids, how did the pyramids get built? We had no technology back then. We had no mechanical equipment back then. They built those pyramids by hard work. And that's something that men, because they're so physical, the beast-like mentality they can do. And so you have to really kind of get to the point of understanding that men have to be beasts, a beast-like. Now, once they get to that point and they're able to control themselves through a lot of the things we're talking about with semen retention, well, now you're able to kind of use that energy to accomplish a lot of things. And this is what people do. You know, and I think NoFap is a great way to start that for a lot of people who are struggling. If you're struggling and you're in that beta mode, and a lot of us have found ourselves in those over the years, I know I was, you have to get to the point of saying to yourself, how do I get out of this? And the best way to start getting out of this thing is basically taking it one day at a time and recognizing that you don't want to be like this anymore. That you don't want to go ahead and be this beta male just because society is telling you that's the way it should be. Society is going to change. Society is in the middle of changing right now. I think people are fed up with a lot of these type of behaviors, and we recognize that if we don't have a strong military, if we don't have strong people, if we don't have strong men working the lines in the military, or strong people working on the buildings and constructions, this society falls apart. There's great need for men and women for different types of things. And the family's falling apart a lot because you don't have full families, in my opinion. And I think what you need to do is go back to some of the basics. Technology is great. A lot of these new things are wonderful. But remember, it goes back to a foundation. If you have no foundation, and your foundation is crumbling, then your society is crumbling. If you have males that are becoming more feminine and females becoming more masculine, females do not have that level of strength. They just don't, period. You know, yeah, women, weightlifting women, things like that, they can match some strength, but they don't have strength. It's when men become beta males, the females can match them because they have no strength. They've lost their energy. They're weak. And this is why you talk about if men do not allow that beast to come out, they become weak. And that's a great show. So the show I'm talking about, Templar, the Saint, is just a wonderful show on this one. And I was looking at how I looked at it this morning, so I wanted to kind of make a video on this because I think Warriors is something that's really, really important to kind of look at and to see. So again, guys, I hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday. Enjoy some of the if you like football, American football. I know a lot of people are out there watching I call it soccer. We just got used to throwing the term in the United States, but football, soccer. Enjoy the rest of your day. Baseball players are going off well as well. God bless you guys, and we'll talk to you guys later. Battle on, my friends, and always remember, every day is a new day to a wise person. God bless you guys, and battle on.